Hey everyone, Final here. Today, I'll be showing you my quick and easy paint scheme for the infamous Ravener from High Fleet Kraken, the Red Terror. Before I start, apologies for the voice again. Allergies have really been kicking my butt. So the Red Terror is actually quite a big model. I'll be sort of painting in sub-assemblies, but not really. The Red Terror by itself is one of my sub-assemblies. It has a really wide open stance, so it should be pretty easy to reach all of the places to paint. If I really wanted to, I could have left the head off as a sub-assembly, but I really don't think it's needed. My other sub-assembly is the statue that's being broken by its tail, and then the base, with the tactical rock base and the rest of the statue. Alright, let's start painting. I primed the Red Terror using Mephiston Red spray, and I'll be painting the fleshy, non-armored parts using Gal Vorbak Red. So that'll include the tail, these sort of rib parts, the arms and legs, and basically anything else between armor plates. Gal Vorbak Red is actually really thin, so I'm going to have to paint on a second coat, and even a third coat in some spots. So that's what it'll look like after the Gal Vorbak Red is nice and solid. It doesn't need to be 100%, but I really don't want the bright Mephiston Red poking through. Next, I'll paint up the armor plates using Corn Red. There's a lot of them, so take your time and try not to hit any of the Gal Vorbak Red. And once again, I'll do a second coat for this one as well. There we go, not too bad. Next I'll be doing some shading, but I want to point this out before I get started. For the next shade, I'll be avoiding the sinewy parts on the head, like in the mouth and on the neck. Those will get painted up with a different color. I'm also going to avoid shading the last segment on the arms. Those will also be a different color. Alright, I'll be washing the model with Nuln Oil, thinned 2:1 with Lamian Medium. Because there's a lot to shade, the Lamian Medium helps the Nuln Oil flow a bit better. I want the Nuln Oil to flow into the recesses and pool there. I don't really want to darken up the rest of the model. I'll also be washing both the Gal Vorbak Red and the Corn Red. If it starts to pool too much, just soak some up with your brush. After that's all set, I'll let it dry for about an hour. For the first 10 minutes or so, keep an eye on it in case the Nuln Oil starts flowing anymore. If it does, you can just soak it up with a damp brush. And here's the wash all dried up. The recesses are nice and shaded, but the red is still decently bright. I'm going to start to brighten up the model a bit more with some dry brushing. First, I'll do a heavy dry brush on the Gal Vorbak Red using Wordbearer's Red. I'm trying to avoid the recesses, but I also want to make sure that I hit all the high points. Here's the result after the Wordbearer's Red. And now I can move on to dry brushing the armor, using Wazdaka Red. For this dry brush, I'm really aiming just to get the edges, and any ridges and bumps in the armor plates. That should be about how it looks, but you can go a little bit heavier if you want the armor brighter. Now, to paint up the talons, I'll be using Xandri Dust. Don't forget about the little ones as well. I'll also be using the Xandri Dust on the teeth. And then to wash the talons, I'll be using Berserker Bloodshade, thinned 2:1 with Lamian Medium. Don't forget to start further in to cover the last segment on the arms as well. The Berserker Bloodshade is only going to be for the arms. For the stinger, I'll be using Agrak's Earthshade, thinned 1:1 with Lamian Medium. I'll also use the same thing on the teeth. Once all of the washes are dry, I'll be doing a light dry brush using Screaming Skull on the talons and teeth. I'm just trying to hit the edges and high points, but you can go a little bit heavier if you want to correct any tide marks. Now for those sinewy parts on the neck and the head, I'll be washing those with Druchii Violet. And while that's drying, I'll paint the stinger part using Corvus Black. And then dry brushing it with Eshin Gray. And finally, this part is optional, but I'll be painting up the eyes. I'll start off with a dot of gray cere, and then filling up the whole eye socket with a Yenden blood, yellow. And there we go. There's the red terror all painted up. There's still that stone column and some bits of rock that I didn't paint. I'll use the same color scheme as the statue and the tactical base. Speaking of which, let's get to it. I'm only going to be showing the statue part, but it's the same exact steps for the base and the stone columns on the red terror. It would be easiest to paint them at the same time. I started off priming with Chaos Black, and then I painted on a base coat of Mechanicus Standard Gray. Of course, I put on 2 thin coats. And then I washed it with Agrax Earthshade. I really want the recesses to be dark and dirty looking, but if you want them a little brighter, you can thin down the Agrax Earthshade using Lamian Medium. And here it is once the Agrax dries up. I'll go in and do a decently heavy dry brush using Dawnstone. I'm looking for the dry brush to glide over these dips, leaving them brownish. Not too bad looking. You could stop here, but I'll be doing one more dry brush. I'll be doing a very light dry brush using Administratum Gray, just for the most prominent edges. And there we are. There's the statue, base, and stone columns all done. Now it's time for some assembly and basing magic. And we have one, Highfleet Kraken Red Terror. This was a really large model, but it was actually pretty easy to paint. I'm pretty happy with how it came out, and I can't wait to get it on the board to play some Kill Team. It actually made me want to paint up some more Tyranids as well, so there might be some shorts on the way for those. If you've been looking for a quick and easy way to paint up your Red Terror, I hope I helped you out. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.